Morning all. How are we all doing? How is everybody this fine Wednesday? Afternoon, Ian, Evil. Afternoon, morning even. Ian, Evil, Amy, Yotko, JC, Virginia, wishing the day away. Gina, Kennelly, Danny, Peter, Ryan, Gregors, Senji, how are we all doing? All good. Afternoon, morning even, Rodrigo, Steve. Just had some more news coming in this morning from Bank of Japan, really putting the pressure on now for the market to drop against the yen. So we'll have a look at that in a sec. But the yen hit the 152 yesterday. So we hit the intervention, well, not the intervention level, kind of calling it the intervention level, but we hit that high again. And immediately came off of it. It's almost like the market's sort of like poking it and going, nah, let's see what you do. Yeah, don't want to do it too often. It's going to collapse. Yeah, could be an interesting day today. We'll see. Morning, Sarah, AZ. So the overnight news, Australian CPI came out last night, 3.4 on a forecast, 3.5. As I said yesterday, that's kind of what I suspected would happen. We just wouldn't basically increase, but we wouldn't decrease. It's a 0.1% variance, which is what we tend to get. So there was no movement really off the Australian dollar. If you look at the Aussie pairs, we had a little drop and it's recovered on Aussie CAD, Aussie Swiss, little drop recovery, Aussie Yen, little drop recovery. So nothing. Aussie New Zealand's coming down nicely though, which is good because I'm short on that. But apart from that, nothing on the Aussie. So that was a no news event. Then we had the Bank of Japan saying more stuff. And in here, in all of this stuff somewhere, is a warning. Suzuki won't rule out any steps, including decisive steps, to respond to disorderly foreign exchange moves. Not commenting on specific FX moves or levels. Closely monitoring the impact of FX moves in the economy, blah, blah, blah. Usual stuff. So again, they came out and said that overnight because they saw obviously the spike against them during the Asian session. So that was their response to that. And then this morning, literally, we got more Bank of Japan stuff in here. And then literally this morning, 10 minutes ago, we are closely watching FX moves with a high sense of urgency. We will take decisive action if needed. So if you are long anything against the Japanese yen, I suggest you just get out. If you're lost, take the loss, get out. Because if they press that button today, it will be down 800% of ADR and you will be, your stops won't get honored, you'll be stuffed. So anything you have going that way against the yen, to jump ship. It's one of those things, if you went long here, for example, and you're like, yeah, that's all right, I'll just stick a break-even stop loss. That break-even stop loss will get triggered here. Yeah, so think about what that would cost you because that's what will happen. You will not get your stop loss on it there. It will move like that in a minute. You won't get the orders. There's nowhere near enough liquidity in the market to execute these intervention moves when they happen, which is why they're so big. They basically buy every order in the market. And if that order is 800 ADR away, they'll buy it. They'll buy the lot. So get out. If it goes up, fine, I'm wrong. But there's no way Japan are going on about this to this extent without the basic intention of pressing that button. And then as soon as we ask them, did you intervene? They'll go, we know nothing about it. Every time, like clockwork. So today, obviously, this morning, we poked again and have made them very cross, as you can see. So if this thing doesn't come down here and we don't get an ADR hit to the downside and we do not break this low and we do not head down towards here and we head up there, they will make it come down. So shorts. This is the sort of time where you have to go and look at all the yen pairs and go, screw it, just hit the short button on everything. And don't put a TP on it. Let it just go. Because if they do make that move. Also, another thing to think about, if you're running an EA like I am, where you have targets set, like here, US dollar yen, I've got a target on multiple positions set at 2%. I'll have 10, please. I do not want to take 2. I want to take 10. So if I just added the New Zealand dollar yen, haven't I? Yeah. So changing the targets up to silly amounts, yeah. Because if it does, the intervention move comes, you don't want to be getting out with 2.5% when the thing's going to drop through the floor. So I'm going to take a New Zealand yen as well. For no other reason than the New Zealand, obviously, as you can see, is one of the weaker ones at the moment. So that's got more chance of moving a little bit further. That's all. The only reason I picked that. So I've also got Euro Yen short as well. Oh, that's the point. I've got Euro Yen short. Sorry, just need to adjust my BPS on that one as well. Gonna have to make a reminder to put these back. I'm not saying that I'm going to get 10%. I'm just saying I want it to be a big number, just so that it doesn't trigger the TPs. Actually, I've got TPs on there as well. Absolutely no point in having those TPs there either. I'm just going to cancel the TPs off. Just check the US dollar. No TPs there. Cool. So yeah, so that is on the cards today. Not necessarily today. Could be tomorrow. It may not happen. Yeah, if the market listens and they do that, there is no need to intervene, is there? So if we get a drop, brilliant. The Bank of Japan will go, thank you. If we don't get a drop and we get a pop, the Bank of Japan will make you drop. So that is a possibility today. So just be aware of it. Morning, day trader, Monkey. Opposing view from Mark Cudmore Bloomberg. He thinks that they may allow US dollar yen to go higher before intervening, although he accepts that no one really knows. It's not an opposing view. He's just backed up exactly what I just said, hasn't he, Wayne? Think about it. Opposing view from Mark Cudmore, Bloomberg. He thinks that they may allow the US dollar yen to go higher before intervening. So you're agreeing with me? They're going to intervene. They're going to intervene. Yes, it could go up. Absolutely. That's what I just said. If it goes up, they will intervene. If it goes down, they won't intervene. If it goes up, they will intervene. Yeah. So Mark is basically agreeing with what I'm saying. Morning, Chucks. So there is no other news today, apart from that. We've just had the Spanish CPI come out at a 3.2. So this is bullish euro, although the Spanish inflation isn't as important as the French and German, but we'll probably get a little pop off the euro today. So possibility of a little bit of a gradual move there for the euro today, but that's it for news today. There is no more news. It's been a very, very flat week so far. We've had some Swiss franc movement. That's about it. So it's just a dud week. Like I said on Monday, I'm not expecting a massive move this week. It will be one of those days, probably tomorrow, where the banks and institutions just suddenly unwind a load of positions to take profit to get targets hit for quarterly reporting. That may happen. Other than that, there's nothing really to move the market this week. The CPI figure was the only real big inflation number we've got this week, or interest rate related number, but it's not doing anything. So nothing really to report there. Tomorrow, we've got the CAD GDP and the US unemployment. So I'll be on for that at 12:15 tomorrow. And we've got revised University of Michigan, which doesn't do anything. But it is also going into bank holidays for Friday. So it's kind of a half day, if you like, tomorrow. Most markets are like, yeah, they just cool down a little bit ahead of the bank holiday. So I'm not really expecting a massive movement unless the banks decide to unwind positions, in which case, obviously, we will. So as you can see today, we've had, obviously, the yen talk overnight, and we've had the Aussie. There's no ADR hits. The weekly hits we looked at yesterday are all Swiss franc related. The Swiss franc is still pumping. So we had that little drop starts yesterday. Remember, I did that little poll yesterday afternoon. Should we short the Euro Swiss? I'm out of that. So I'm out of the Euro Swiss. I'm out of the CAD Swiss. Look at that. Look at my broker, yeah? That was where I put the stop loss on the CAD Swiss. Look at that, right? That's where the market closed. We went into the swap. They gapped it down. They spread it up there, stopped me out. Price hasn't even got to my stop loss yet today. It's been pushing. We've had like, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've had 10 hours worth of trading today. It hasn't even got to my stop loss yet. Although I got stopped out last night. Brokers, love them. So yeah, they managed to spread the market. 19 pips, half an ADR. So they decided last night to go, yeah, whatever, let's just spread by half of the average daily range. Kill everybody. Stop losses. Euro Swiss, I'm out of that one. The other one I took was yesterday was a pound Swiss. I'm out of that. Swiss franc going nuts still. Loads of weakness. We are coming up to the double top on a few of these Swissies. So there is potential for some kind of resistance. We've got a couple of resistance areas, but as I said, this Swiss franc likely to remain weak. They've dropped their interest rates. They didn't tell us they were doing it. The market had an inkling, which is why we had that 2-week rally into it. And they've confirmed what the market thought might happen. It was kind of a 50-50, really. Probably less, but I mean, they did it. So I suspect that's what we've been doing against all Swiss franc pairs. So if you are short still with the Swissy, as I did, jump ship. Or at least do some DD control and look for some aggressive drawdown control. I've got the US dollar Swiss on at the moment, short still. I'm in a fair bit of drawdown on this with a 200 ADR target to get back to break even. The only reason I'm holding this at the moment through this, and if this is up here later today, I will get out of some of this and take some loss. But the only reason I'm holding this is if the Bank of Japan intervene today, that US dollar is coming down hard. So that's the only kind of saving grace. And that's obviously because I'm in US dollar Swiss and not Euro Swiss, Pound Swiss, or any other Swiss. I have that kind of safety net available to me if there is an intervention move that the US dollar will drop. So that's the only reason I'm kind of holding on at the minute to that one. But yeah, so big obviously extensions still on the Swiss franc pairs. RSIs today, US dollar Swiss ADR, US dollar Swiss RSI on the hourly. That one's extended again. We've been extended and embedded on this a number of times now. You can see we've been embedded on it for a while. We know this. The Swiss franc's been absolutely crazy. So looking for a pullback at some point on this, but obviously the potential is now for this to be support and not fill this propulsion gap. So propulsion gaps that are caused on fundamental shifts in the news tend to not get filled. These tend to be what I call orphaned propulsion gaps. There's no point, there's no reason for the market to come back through this because the directional bias on the instrument has changed. So it's more of a, we'll add in here because now we're going this way type of thing. So the only saving grace, as I say, on this US dollar Swiss is basically the Japanese. So we'll see what happens with that. But US dollar Swiss extended on the hourly, also extended on the 4 hourly. We're over the 80 level now. And again, that level is something we get to very often. It is very, very due a pullback of some kind. But like I said, the fundamentals have shifted now. I'd be surprised if we don't get some kind of pullback from here. I'm just not convinced it's going to be particularly big. So we'll see. But yeah, so that's extended on the 4 hour. The other extensions we've got are Euro Swiss and CAD Swiss, obviously because it's the Swissy. But look at the state of this move. I mean, it's unbelievable. Absolutely, it's the biggest push I've seen, I think, thinking back to the Aussie New Zealand drop, but this is probably the biggest, fastest shift I've seen in fundamentals, backed up by a news event which has just compounded it. So, you know, there's a high probability of a pullback on it, but it's a case of, does the market need to take profit on this move? Or are they just going to keep adding into it? Because there's absolutely no reason for anything else to come down. Don't forget, euro, pound, everything else is coming down June. We've got another 2 months at least of potential strength in everything else, or neutrality in everything else, and now weakness in the Swiss. So there is potential for this to carry on for a few weeks, but we'll see. But good mean reversion opportunities if the market decides to take profit on them. So Swissy, I'm not particularly interested in at the moment. I'm happy to get in on like yesterday. So yesterday's trades were an attempted ADR reversal. But like I said, I'm not holding these as positions. I'll try a scalp on it, but I'm not interested in holding long-term positions on the Swiss. Short. I don't really want to hold it long either, because every bone in my body is saying this thing needs to unwind. So I don't really want to hold a long position. You've kind of missed it, haven't you? It's been happening for weeks. So there we go. So there's your RSIs and your ADRs today. Hedged on the DAX, hedged on the FTSE and the DAX on the indices this morning. Had a not bad week actually on the indices, but indices at the moment are incredibly weak at the open. It's almost like you want to wait 2 hours. That's when the moves are starting. Market's sort of a pain in the backside at the moment. Morning, Vitaly. So if they intervene, would Aussie US go up as well? No. Well, everything will move, yes, because what an intervention move is basically basically the Japanese government, Bank of Japan, whichever way you want to look at it, they don't hold their own currency because they've had negative interest rates for nearly a couple of decades. Basically, you don't hold currency in your own country, basically, because there's no point. Like I said, if you pay $1,000 into the bank and they give you less than 1,000 back, what's the point? You're not going to do it. The interest rates are negative. You don't earn anything by holding money there. So what they do is they encourage everybody, when they earn any money, to stick it all overseas. So all investment goes outside of Japan. What that gives them the opportunity to do is liquidate that investment whenever they see fit. And by liquidating that investment, they turn it back into yen, which strengthens the yen. That's what causes these intervention spikes. Yeah. So that is basically what it is. It's basically them saying, screw you lot, we don't like the price. We want the yen to be stronger. So we're just going to buy every single opposite order for the yen. We're going to buy all of it. We'll want it all, basically. So it just goes blah, 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 blah. All the other currencies will be impacted by that move, in the fact that the market will see a sudden sharp movement and will want to get in on it. To be able to get in on that move, you need a currency that you get out of to get into the yen. So if you've got profitable positions running on Aussie US, Aussie New Zealand, Euro Swiss, whatever, you can liquidate those and use that money to buy the yen. Yeah. So that's why everything gets affected by an intervention move. But the main things that get affected are obviously all the yen crosses, because as they're buying the yen, everything drops against the yen. However, the vast majority of the yen overseas investment is in US dollar. So the US dollar is the one that gets the biggest kicking, because they are liquidating, selling US dollar and buying Japanese yen. So the strongest move is US dollar yen. All the other yen pairs will move, but they will quite often recover very quickly, all the other yen pairs, because those other currencies haven't got a reason to continue to drop. They will just gradually carry on doing what they're doing. But at the moment, this is the first if it happens, obviously this is the first intervention move that we will have seen where we are anticipating negative interest rate drops within a couple of months. So the market doesn't want to be buying too much of any currency at the moment because they know that there's going to start to drop. So it's whoever's going to drop first. So there is a chance that all the intervention moves, if they happen on all the yen pairs, will actually hold, and we'll see a huge propulsion gap that actually gets sold out of. But again, this is all speculation based on what's happened in the past. We're in a completely different world now. We're in zero interest rates on the yen. We've never been there. What impact's it going to have? We don't know. Yeah, so it's impossible to predict. You can only go on what they historically have done, have had to do, when they say exactly what they have said this morning. Yeah. Go back and look at, if you have, you won't have a financial juice feed going back this far, but if there was one, every time that happens to the yen. 100% strike rate every time. Either because they intervene or because the market goes, yeah, all right, we're back off. Yeah, one of those two things happens with 100% accuracy. When we've had negative interest rates on the yen, we haven't got them anymore. So what's going to happen now? They may say that, and it may be a complete bluff. Yeah, they're going, we're going to intervene again. If you keep on, you see what we've done every time you've done this. Yeah, we're going to do it again. And then behind the scenes, they're going, we're going to do that. We've got zero interest rates now. We can't do it anymore. I know, but they don't know that. We don't know. I should have said that in a Japanese accent, shouldn't I, really? But we'll wait and see. But I would be heavily betting on the drop. We'll see, but everything else will get a kick, yeah, because this is a big thing. So it's a big, think of it like a nice calm pool of water and someone dropping a bloody great boulder in the middle of it. There's a ripple effect that goes through the entire market. The stock indices will rock as well. Everything will just go, holy crap, what was that? Because there's a massive movement in money everywhere. So these Swisses are going the wrong way again. Yeah, they are. It's a push. Yeah, don't forget the UK market's just opened, so this is the opening bell for London. It could well hit a brick wall. Yeah, don't forget we've got a high, a low, a lower high, potentially. Yeah. Again, the Swiss franc. It's a difficult one to call. Fundamentally speaking, you should be looking potentially at longs, but what we're actually getting is market not really rallying, is it? Yeah, off the back of the Swiss franc move, if you look at it, what's the market done? Undone it, and now pushed back up, but not broken it. Yeah, so is it bullish? Hard to read. If you look at all the Swiss pairs since the news, we've not only undone the move, we've surpassed it, and now yesterday we put a lower high in and sold off from it fairly substantially. But is this a flag break, or is this a market structure short? We'll find out in the next couple of days, won't we? But the fundamentals certainly suggest that there should be further weakness in the Swissy. However, we have also got the Canadian dollar dropping its interest rates potentially in a couple of months. So do you really want to be doing that? It's a really, this year is just going to be tricky, super tricky. When we had the interest rate rally start, the 18-month interest rate rally starting, it was really simple. Yeah, it was a case of, right, we know that they're increasing interest rates by 0.25%, and we know that their inflation is going through the roof. Every time inflation goes up, they're going to increase the interest rates, and it was really simple. Every time there was a news event, you bought it, and it went up. It was easy. Yeah, really easy. Then we've had this 6-7 month sideways while we've frozen interest rates, we've hit our peak, and we had that bit where we were like guessing where the peak was. Now we got the peak. So now we're guessing where the drop's coming. So it's the cycle is complete. It's the interest rate rally followed by the calm before the interest rate drop. This is what we're trying to predict. The Swiss went early, didn't tell us. Someone else could go early. But, so although, yes, the Swiss franc is now weak, we are also about to get weak on that. We're about to get weak on the US. We're about to get weak on the euro. We're about to get weak on the pound. Everything is about to get weak, whereas for the last 2 years, everything's been getting strong, apart from the Swissy, because the Swissy got to 1.75 and went, shh, our inflation's already lower than target, guys. We're not going anymore. And everyone else had to go. So every currency got strong. Everything is about to go the other way. Yeah. Why is that happening? Because the Swiss stopped increasing interest rates. You know, it's just one of those things you can't predict, because like I keep saying, it's a timing thing. You cannot time the market. It's the only thing we can't do. If we could time the market, we'd all be billionaires, because we know when it's going to turn. We cannot time the market. No one can. The banks and institutions can't time the market. The central banks and governments set policy as to when the market will move. They don't tell us. This is why we're always looking for clues in the FOMC press conference, because that's the only thing we can go on. When do you think? Somewhere in the next couple of months? All right, well, let's sell it for a couple of months, because when it happens, we want to be short, which is why you see these speculative moves start 4 weeks ahead, like with the Swiss. Yeah, so all these Swiss franc moves. The Swiss came out and said that we're possibly going to drop interest rates at some point in the near future. So the market went, all right, we don't want to be on the Swissy, do we? They were right. Yes, they were right. So now what are they going to do? Wait for the next clue as to when the Swiss are going to drop interest rates. They may stay there for 3 months now, in which case the Swissy will power up. And then the euro will drop its rates and this thing will collapse. Not because the Swiss powers up, because the euro weakens. This is what it's all about. We are trying to figure out who is the stronger of the two. That's what Forex trading is. Who is the strongest currency? Because whoever it is going to go up or down. One of them is going to be the victor, isn't it? Which is why everybody always buys the US dollar, because it's the biggest, most transacted currency in the world, with, at the moment, one of the highest interest rates in the world. So you want your money in the US dollar. Goes up. But yeah. Morning, Neo. Interesting results from the ADR testing. Any reason why yen wasn't tested? No, I just didn't test it. Did these results include swaps? No. They're not the results are nothing to do with finances. The results were to see if there was an impact caused by ADR. I think you've missed the point, Johan. It wasn't to see if we could make more money. It was to see if there was a big, oh my God, we should be using the ADR 60, not the ADR 10, because it has this positive effect, that positive effect, and that positive effect. The results were inconclusive. I wasn't trying to see if we could make more money. I was trying to see if one was better longer term than the other. So those tests weren't financial tests at all. They were just tests, mathematical analysis, basically. Right. So there's nothing much else to look at today. It's just a case of waiting for something to happen. And I think we know what we are waiting for. It would be nice to see this have another go and watch Financial Juice and see what the Bank of Japan says. Don't forget, the Bank of Japan are all starting to go to bed soon. So it's one of those things where if they come out on Financial Juice, you know they're staying up because there's something to do. So it'll be interesting to see if we do get a rally on it today. What I suspect we'll probably get today is that we've had a warning shot. The only thing that could happen today and tomorrow is, obviously, as I said, the banks start to unwind some positions. If the unwinding of those positions means strengthening the US dollar, that unfortunately will rally this. So if you look at all the other US pairs, there is more of an argument for a weakness in the US dollar than a strength in the US dollar if they're going to scale out of positions, because we've had big moves down, which means we should be correcting those, which means weakness in the US. So I'm not convinced we'll get a massive rally in the US today, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see. Interesting times. It's always exciting when things like this happen. And it's always really exciting when they happen on stream. The last intervention move we had was on stream and somebody shouted. I can't remember who it was, but someone shouted in the chat, "Look at the yen." And by the time I'd flicked over to the chart, the candlestick was here. Like, oh, there you go. There's the intervention I've been telling you about for the last 2 weeks. It'll just happen. You'll be like, what was that? What will happen is, the reason you know it's going on, whatever I'm doing here, this will be ping, 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 ping. It's basically the ADR dashboard will just light up like a Christmas tree. It will go, ADR's been hit, ADR 125, ADR 150, ADR 175. You can't ignore it. Yeah, the RSI dashboard will suddenly explode as well. Every alert on the planet just goes ding, 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 ding. That's when you know it's happening. Unprecedented times, yes. It's unprecedented. It's a horrible saying, isn't it? Well, it's basically, when people say things, when people say unprecedented times, it's a cop-out for, I ain't got a clue. It is, isn't it? Oh, that was unprecedented. I didn't have a clue. No. Because you also don't have a crystal ball. But it is unprecedented. Or it's you know, we should just use the term, this is a situation I haven't been in before. Yeah. I haven't been in a situation with an 18-month rally at the speed we've had it, with a pause of this magnitude and then a potential 18-month drop in interest rates before. I haven't had that. It's unprecedented. I'm just going to hold these Swissies and keep scaling in accordingly. What's the worst can happen? Your account will blow. Please explain about euro yen. Got stuck in 162.770. Is it possible to come down? I literally am lost for words. I've been talking for 34 minutes about US dollar and yen, an intervention by the Japanese yen. And you've just asked me to explain about the euro yen and if it's going to come down. Am I speaking Klingon? I've no idea. I don't know what to say, Redra. I literally am lost for words. Yeah, I think it will. I think you'll be safe. You joined late. All right, go and watch the replay. You've only missed half an hour, but right, financial juice. The Japanese came out this morning and said, we will take decisive action if this thing keeps going against us. We're closely watching it. So they're not happy. I don't know. Quick update on the position trader EA. I had a brainwave. I don't often get these, but I had a brainwave. Yesterday, we were talking about testing and manual back testing in here. And I suddenly had a break. And I said about, because I was doing some manual back testing, if you remember. I think, have I got this set up right? No. Oh, yes, I have. No. Yeah. And I said, it's really hard to control the speed of this thing. Remember? I don't know if you're in here, but it's really hard because when it goes to full speed, it's too quick. So do you know what? I suddenly remembered this little line of code in MQL language that is it's kind of like a busy. I'm busy, basically, is what it says. So what I've done is I've programmed these little buttons in so you can control the speed of the back tester. When you put it onto 32, instead of it going mental, like it normally does, like this, so that is the normal speed, you can't control it. It's either that speed or that speed. Those are the two speeds of the tester. 31 is that. 32 is that. I've no idea why. Everybody's moaned about it forever. So what I did was I made these little plus and minus buttons. So if you do this, you can control the speed of it. How good is that for manual backtesting? So now we can actually trade at a speed that is faster than real world, and we can like tweak it. If nothing much is happening, we can speed it up a bit. That's that. Yeah, and then we can slow it down a little bit and go, hang on a minute, I need to do a little bit of analysis here. Let's have a watch of that level and see if we get there. Let's speed it up to get to it. Good, isn't it? I need to fine tune it because it's actually quite hard to put this delay in properly. Let me slow down. So you can basically speed it up until you get to a level that you want to sell it at, and then slow it down. But it's quite difficult to control. So I've kind of got it going in, and this is the other thing about this. Right, this is meant to be a millisecond delay, this code. So I've got it set to, it says down here, I don't know if you can see it, but it says delay 50. So I've got it moving in 50 increments at the moment. But I can't figure out why when you get up to the higher levels, it literally doesn't affect it anymore. So there's obviously some weird thing in MT4, but it gives you at least a little bit of control in the manual backtester for controlling speed of movement. And I'm not sure if I need to go in 50 increments. See, that's 0, that's 50, that's 100, 150, 200, 250. I think I need to go in 25 increments. I need to play with it, basically. But yeah, so I suddenly remembered yesterday about this, and I was like, I wonder if that works, because I've never used it, and it does. So I will. I need to do some more testing on this today. Just speed it up a little bit. Oh. This is running on every tick as well. And this is the other thing. Look, if you don't run it on every tick and run it on control points, which you can do with the position trading EA, that speed is like unbelievable. Let me just put it onto full speed, yeah? Oh, hang on. Right, that's full speed. I mean, you literally can't manually trade with that. But that is the next notch down, which is just far too slow, isn't it? It takes half an hour to get through a day. That, a day takes 2 seconds. But now, with this button, oh, wrong one. We can say, no, slow down a little bit, slow down a little bit. And then we can say, right, okay, I'm happy with that, speed up a bit. Isn't it? Anyway, I need to fine tune it. So this will be released as an update, assuming I can get it working as I want it to, which I'm not convinced. But I will work on that today. Absolute genius. I know, it's just why, but this is the thing I don't get with this, yeah, right? You got a slider here that goes from 1 to 32. Question 1, MetaTrader, why 1 to 32? 1 to 50, 1 to 100, 1 to 10, 1 to 32? Don't get it. And why is like 1 really slow, pretty much stopped, 2, nothing different, all the way up to 31, very, 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 very slightly faster, 32, lightning turbo. It's bizarre, isn't it? Absolutely bizarre. But anyway, so there's a couple of other options I've got, actually. There's another command called delay, which I might be able to utilize, but delay seems to go way too slow. So I'm working on potentially a way to adjust it. So, but I'll work on that today, because it'd be a fantastic tool for the backtester to be able to actually, you know, do proper testing in here, you know, and just, you know, slow it down to a level that actually makes sense. And then if you want to, you can pause it and go, right, But instead of having 100,000 miles an hour and no miles an hour, at least have 5 or 6 increments in between that we can use. So, but we'll see. It's a plan. And I can't work out the plus and minus buttons either. That's the other thing. So plus reduces the delay, which speeds it up. So when you press the plus button, the number goes down. And it's going to be very confusing for people. It's confusing for me. So I haven't quite worked out how to do it so that it actually makes sense as well. But anyway. Work in progress. US dollar yen's pushing. Very nice feature, speed control. Could you make them control the real prices as well? That would be good, wouldn't it? Yes. Press the plus button and price goes up. It's exactly this. I've got a button that does that already. It's called the sell button. If you press the sell button, price goes up. If you press the buy button, price goes down. That's typically what they do. If you swap them over, though, somehow the market knows it should do the inverse to what you actually mean. I don't know how it's very clever. I don't know how it works, but it does. If I press the buy button now, that will go down. If I press the sell button, as I did on the New Zealand dollar yen, yeah, I press the sell button, the price goes up. Weird. There's no way to be able to change the time frames on the backtester either. No. You can get what are called offline charts, where you can plot an offline chart and draw an offline chart, but it's very unreliable the way that it works, because the way that it does it is it kind of paints the candles like an indicator using next available time frame. So it's not very good. But yeah, it's not ideal. What I used to do when I was manual backtesting in the strategy tester, what I used to do was have another terminal open, and I used to have kind of a zoomed out higher time frame chart that I could draw support resistance on to find out where price was likely to be going. And I used to do it that way, which is manual, but it's a very long-winded way of doing it. MT5, I think you can have multiple time frame charts on, but I don't use it very much, so I don't really know. But that would be a brilliant thing, brilliant feature. Joking apart, I remember when I started following you, you were using third-party EA to backtest the indicators with a variable speed. Yes, I was. That was I can't remember what that was called. But the problem with that EA is it's an EA. So you can't backtest an EA because you are using an EA to backtest. So it was for backtesting indicators, and it was for manually backtesting in the strategy tester indicators. But if you wanted to backtest an EA with a variable speed control, you couldn't, because you were running that EA. So it didn't work. I might actually look up. I don't know if I won't be able to find the code they used. I'm wondering if I could find a code snippet that they might have used for that variable speed control, because that would be awesome. Because that was really good. I can't remember what it was called. But it was a slider, wasn't it? It had a little slider, a bit like the MT4 one, but it controlled the speed. I wonder what that was controlling. I'll have to look at that. But yeah, I literally had a little light bulb moment about 4 o'clock yesterday, and I was like, I wonder if that would work. And I quickly coded it. So I haven't actually looked into it in too much more detail yet, but hopefully I'll be able to fine tune it, because it'd be a really good thing. Could you make a video on testing? I could do, yeah. It is on my list to do. It's in my, I've got a list of videos I want to make, because I want to redo the bootcamp with up to date everything. And I want to do a load more videos in there for how to set up MetaTrader, tips and tricks for MetaTrader, how I do that, you know, all this sort of stuff. And as one of them will be strategy tester, how to use a strategy tester, an MT4. That is on my list. but it's finding time to do it. What I kind of need to do is take 2 or 3 weeks off live rooms and just focus on making videos, because I just don't get the time, because I'm coding as well. So Aussie New Zealand's coming down nicely. Anybody is short on that, as I am. Had to do some GD control on that this week, but it's coming down now. So this looks like the move on the Aussie dollar is getting underway for the negative interest rates. Negative inflation. New Zealand will probably be coming down as well. Is this Swiss franc powering up as well? No. I've seen the Aussie Swiss come down, New Zealand Swiss come down, and then I got all hopeful that the Swiss franc might be powering up. Oh, it is a little bit, look. Yeah, a little bit of strength coming in the Swissy. We'll see. The speed thing is fixed in MT5. Yeah, they fixed it in MT5. Which begs the question, why the hell don't you fix it in MT4? I mean, it's not rocket science. The thing that I love MT4 and MT5. Well, I don't love MT5, but I love MT4. And MetaQuotes are one of those organizations where they are just very stubborn. You know, it doesn't matter how many times you tell them what you're doing is really screwing up. People that use the software every day, every time you update MetaTrader 5 without giving us an option and you force an update, and you break something, it affects people that are trading with real money, and their EAs break, their indicators stop working. A function that normally happened, like closing trades automatically or removing stop losses, disappears. Yeah, it has a massive impact. And they go, oh, all right, we'll roll it back. No. Test the bloody thing before you release it thoroughly. Don't release an update every week. Release an update every 2 months, but test everything you're updating. MetaTrader 4, 15 years. The speed bar hasn't been working in the strategy tester. It can't be hard, can it, to readjust the delay that thing causes. People have complained about it for a decade, yet they don't do that. But they will update it to do something else. Yeah, their priorities in that organization just seem to be flipped the wrong way. It should be focused on us, the people that use it. And there's not that much software to choose from out there. And the reason MT4 is so popular is because it's easy. And what do brokers want? Ease of access to the markets, because the broker basically wants your money in its account so that it can take it. So it needs to give you a piece of software that's really easy to get started with. Right click, open chart, put indicators on. There's 1,000 EAs, there's 1,000 indicators, off you go. Go and press some buttons. That's what the brokers want you to do. CTrader, all the other pieces of software out there are quite complex and have a higher, faster, steeper learning curve, which is why brokers haven't adopted them very much, because they're harder to use. So if you want an easy access to markets, give them an easy piece of software. That's basically the way it works. And that's why all brokers support MT4 and MT5. And there's a lot less that supports CTrader and other pieces of software. And those pieces of software were developed much more for futures as well. So, you know, that's not the vast majority of money that goes through CFD contracts with brokers is Forex and gold. Those are the biggest traded instruments out there, and oil. So, you know, they're not worried about CTrader because very few people trade stocks. Stocks are investment platforms, not trading platforms. This is kind of where everybody tries to make their Lambo money, isn't it? MetaQuotes is Russian, yeah. Basic testing before deployment. Yeah, it's just, you know, I'm a programmer. You know, I used to do web programming and PHP and that sort of stuff. And you would not push out an update without thoroughly testing it on a development platform, and not just testing, oh, brilliant, that new thing works. Thinking about, I push this thing out, brilliant, that new thing works, but what impact does it have on the other things that it already does? Yeah. So if you push an update out that changes the color of the candlestick, yeah, Does that have an impact on all the default indicators in MetaTrader? Do we need to put color inputs into those because people won't be able to see them? That's the bit they won't think about. They'll just go, hey, look, everybody, you can change the color of the candlesticks. And the default is now not black and white, it's red and green. So everybody that goes, but I used black and white, now can't change the color of their indicators. So their indicators have got the same color as the candlesticks and it all crashes. That's what will happen. They wouldn't think about that. They would just push out the update and then they'd go, oh, that's broke, is it? Okay, we'll stick that on the list for the next update, which is coming out in 6 weeks' time. 6 weeks, you sit there and you go, this doesn't work. Exactly the same as you have with the market reversal alert CA for MT5. They put out an update and all of a sudden, some brokers, not all, but some brokers who did things in specific ways, obviously, stop losses wouldn't get deleted. And it's like, well, you haven't thought about this. You've pushed out an update that has stopped a certain functionality that you've had in the past and you've not told anybody you've changed, has broken something. What's broken? I don't know. We'll roll it back. They don't roll it back. So I release a thing that removes stops for people. Yeah, waiting for them to fix the problem, which takes weeks. It's just one of those things they just do. But hey, it's free. You get what you pay for. Sphere tester, that's it. That's what it was called. Yeah, so this is an EA for MT4. Blimey. I've got very good reviews. Yeah, so this is the bit I was talking about. This buttons. So this was a case of you could adjust the speed. So you put it on 32 and then you adjust the speed with this. That's basically what I'm building. Something to adjust speed. But the problem with this is you can only test indicators with it. You can't test EAs. Yeah. So it's for manual trading. It's a good bit of kit. I used to use it a lot. Their logo's gone. It seems that they've kind of disappeared. But anyway, good bit of kit. I'll work on that today and see if I can get that working to a level that actually works. And I might look at some alternative ways because I think it'd be such a good thing to give people the opportunity to turn all their, to actually physically test their strategies properly in the back tester. But you can't do that when the thing's running at 9,000 miles an hour or 1 mile an hour. It's just impossible to do, isn't it? So I'll work on that. So yeah, so basically today it's all about the yen. We're waiting to see if they push it. If we go sideways and do nothing, that's fine. Tomorrow I'll be on at 12:15 tomorrow for the CAD GDP and the US unemployment. So if we get no movement off of the yen today, and if nothing really moves dramatically, the only news we've got for the rest of this day is Weller, which unlikely anything's going to be said there because everything was said in FOMC last week. So this is the main news we've got tomorrow, and that's it for the week. It's bank holiday on Friday. So it literally is tomorrow. It needs to move, or today. So if it hasn't done that, we'll be waiting until next week. No trading on Monday. It's bank holiday again because it's Easter. We have got news, but it's bank holiday in Europe. And then next week we're into a couple of CPIs next week. So yeah, unemployment. So it's non-farm payroll next week. But yeah, so today and tomorrow are the last days of the month. So potentially we will get an unwinding of positions. So it will just fly. We'll suddenly get 200 ADR moves happening, and it'll be basically the bank's just unwinding. So we'll see. But the unwinding should usually, when you get these moves, the unwinding is usually going in your direction as a position trader because they're unwinding the positions they've been building. Yeah, it's the profit take move is what we see. So if we've been rallying, we unwind the opposite direction. So things like this, if we get an unwinding on it, you'll be down here somewhere. Yeah, so it's always good for us if the banks do it. But payday, as we call it. But we'll see. All right, so that's all I got today. There's nothing much else to look at. There's no ADRs, hardly any RSIs. Yesterday was a bit flat, so there's no news catalysts, and we're waiting to see what happens with the yen. So yen and the Swiss is the focus, and we'll see where we are tomorrow. But it looks to me like the Swissy is starting to stall out, which is good. So if you need any aggressive drawdown control positions, which I kind of do on the US Swiss, I'm at the point where I'm about to cut half of it. I've done $8,000 this month, so I've got plenty of profit to cut. But I was waiting to see if that yen move comes. So what I might do actually is start to cut if we break that high. So this could well be the last push, and we're going to start to see it sort of drop. So I'm just going to put a stop on that position there. Just doing drawdown control, basically, just scaling out of some of this. And I'll want to get out of a little bit more later as well. But I'm just going to get out of some if it continues to go today, because I don't want to hold more. I just want to reduce a lot sizing on it. It's a bit too big. So we'll see. But yeah, that's it. So I'll be back tomorrow, same time. Well, no, I won't. I'll be back tomorrow at 12:15. For the news, anything you need, I'll be in Discord or Telegram. And if I do manage to get that speed control fine-tuned, I'll push an update out later today, so that we can use that. And I'll do a video as well, actually, on how to actually do the back testing with it, because it's a very, very handy tool. All right, anything you need, let me know. Other than that, I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.